Overnight, details emerged of one of the most extensive Russian assaults on Ukraine's energy infrastructure since the war began. Reports from Ukrainian authorities confirmed that over 90 missiles and 100 drones were launched in a coordinated attack targeting critical facilities. The aftermath has left millions of Ukrainians facing rolling blackouts, widespread power outages, and plummeting temperatures as the nation braces for a harsh winter. This marks the 11th large-scale attack on Ukraine's energy grid this year alone, part of Moscow's broader strategy to destabilize the country. Russian forces reportedly used Caliber cruise missiles in this operation, some armed with cluster munitions, a weapon internationally condemned for its indiscriminate impact, especially in civilian areas. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky highlighted the dangers posed by these munitions, emphasizing their devastating consequences for residential areas in public infrastructure. The Kremlin framed this attack as a response to Ukraine's use of U.S.-supplied long-range missiles, which were employed to strike key targets inside Russian territory in recent weeks. However, analysts suggest that this justification fits into a larger Russian narrative aimed at undermining Ukraine's critical systems. By systematically targeting energy facilities, Moscow seeks to inflict maximum disruption on Ukraine's ability to generate electricity, heating, and essential services. The timing of this escalation is notable. With temperatures expected to drop below freezing, millions of Ukrainians are now at risk of losing access to heat and power, creating a humanitarian crisis as the war enters its third winter. Despite these challenges, Ukrainian repair crews continue their work under difficult conditions, restoring power where possible. This determination reflects the nation's resilience, even as it faces unprecedented strain. The attack also underscores a shift in Russia's tactics. Rather than pursuing decisive territorial gains, Moscow appears focused on a war of attrition, aiming to weaken Ukraine's infrastructure and exhaust its international supporters. Using 132 drones in one operation demonstrates an intensifying reliance on aerial technology to maximize damage while stretching Ukraine's air defenses. On the international stage, these developments coincide with significant changes in U.S. foreign policy. President-elect Donald Trump has announced key appointments, signaling a potential shift in America's approach to the conflict. Retired General Keith Kellogg, a former national security advisor, has been named special envoy to Russia and Ukraine. Known for his loyalty to Trump and his strategic military background, Kellogg has already outlined a peace proposal that could redefine the course of the war. Kellogg's proposed plan, which has circulated in diplomatic and military circles, centers on freezing the current front lines and initiating formal negotiations between Kyiv and Moscow. The plan reportedly includes making U.S. aid to Ukraine conditional and converting future support into loans tied to Ukraine's participation in peace talks. In exchange, Russia would receive limited sanctions relief for engaging in diplomacy. This strategy has sparked significant debate. Proponents argue that it offers a pragmatic path to ending hostilities, potentially saving thousands of lives and stabilizing the region. Critics, however, warn that such an approach risks forcing Ukraine into territorial concessions, effectively rewarding Russian aggression and legitimizing its territorial gains. For Ukraine, the stakes could not be higher. While U.S. and NATO support has been instrumental in bolstering its defenses, the prospect of reduced assistance under a Trump administration adds to Kiev's challenges. If international aid diminishes, Ukraine may face increased pressure to accept unfavorable terms, potentially sacrificing sovereignty over significant portions of its territory. While diplomacy becomes a focal point, the situation on the ground remains dire. Reports from the Eastern Front indicate that Russian forces continue to push forward in multiple areas, leveraging their advantage in manpower and resources. This gradual but persistent advance underscores the growing strain on Ukraine's military, which has been stretched thin after nearly 3 years of intense fighting. Ukrainian forces face a dual challenge: repelling Russian offensives while managing critical shortages of troops and ammunition. Despite significant international support, the sheer scale of the conflict has drained Ukraine's reserves, raising concerns about its long-term ability to sustain a defensive posture. Moscow's strategy appears to mirror historical patterns. In past conflicts, both modern Russia and the Soviet Union have relied on a strategy of attrition, gradually overwhelming opponents through sustained pressure and resource depletion. This approach, combined with Russia's relentless attacks on Ukraine's infrastructure, creates an increasingly grim outlook for the coming months. The war's evolving dynamics also have significant implications for global diplomacy. President-elect Trump's appointment of Kellogg as special envoy signals a potential shift toward a more transactional approach to U.S. foreign policy. Kellogg's military background and his history as a Trump loyalist suggest that the administration may prioritize deal-making over traditional alliances. This shift raises questions about the future of U.S.-Ukraine relations. While President Biden maintained a firm stance against Russian aggression, providing billions in aid to support Ukraine's resistance, the incoming administration may adopt a more pragmatic or isolationist stance. If the U.S. reduces its support, Ukraine may face increasing pressure to negotiate on terms favorable to Moscow. Amid these geopolitical developments, the human cost of the conflict continues to rise. The latest wave of attacks has displaced thousands, left millions without power, and created a growing humanitarian crisis. For the average Ukrainian, the war is not just a battle for sovereignty, but a daily struggle for survival. As the conflict grinds into its third winter, the resilience of the Ukrainian people remains a powerful testament to their determination. However, the challenges ahead are immense. With limited resources, ongoing attacks, and shifting international support, Ukraine faces a critical juncture in its fight for survival. For more updates and in-depth analysis on this unfolding story, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Stay informed and join us as we continue to explore the complexities of global events and their impact on our world.